Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad ASYRAF. Today, I will explain about our assignment and define the definition of agriculture. The agriculture can be defined as the art and science of land planting, growing crop and livestock, which involve the preparation and sale plant and animal product for domestic use to the consumer itself. Agriculture also prefer as an agro-business the production of meat, plant and fungi and others form of life such as fruit and others. It was a key of development in the growth of human society, whereby the cultivation of domesticated species produced food surplus and fostered development to the civilization. According to DOSM, Department of Statistics Malaysia, agriculture contributes 7.1% national GDP in 2019, which remains significant sector of our country economy. Therefore, realizing the significance of this sector, this study seeks to explore why the agriculture far behind in terms of our revenue itself. Although this has been of the primary sector of the Malaysian economy itself.
Is FARAH AMIRA FILZAH BINTI AZIZAN, and I will explain about the issue and the problems. So the first issue is the natural problem challenges, which is the climate change has been driven by the natural process over the centuries, and this mechanism continue to induce change. When the natural problem is related to the climate change, it can therefore causes the obstacle to all the economic sectors. Particularly, the natural resources are dependent sectors such as the agriculture. As according to CHAH 2017, the seeds do not sprout, whereas the vegetable roots and leaf begins to rot when soil become soggy, particularly whenever it rains quite a lot at night. So the vegetable worms have risen as well as the vegetables become extremely lumps. So there is a loss because the clients do not want to buy when the quality of the vegetables such as the texture, color as well as the nutrition might be different when having an extreme weather conditions. Thus, all these issues mentioned above can clearly demonstrate how the climate change could adversely affect the agriculture sector through a challenge to its continual productions. Both parties in these sectors, along with the government, can collectively resolve or avoid these natural obstacles. Since it is important to be conscious about this in order to ensure that the economic expansion in these sectors can be achieved. Okay, next we go to the second issue. So the second issue is the agriculture could not offer the high wages and the better working conditions. Wages are defined as the payable towards the employee in terms of the compensations, income rewards, and the additional fees, which are designed or measured by the responsibility or duty of the employee that are regards to the works as mentioned by Kong. So the working condition is the standard of work applied to the daily atmosphere and the elements of the terms and the conditions of employment of the employee. So as according to the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations 2020, the rural working conditions appear to be harsh, unpredictable and risky, as rural workers are often informal with no contractual agreement and almost no security. These wages and working conditions problems in the agriculture sectors can be illustrated by the many events. For example, as according to Lokman 2018, the labor shortage in the Cameron Highland, where the Cameron Highland officially acknowledged that the farmers face the labor shortage, which claiming that one of the key factors in tension in the field of the housing controls. Above all, we can see that the problem of the agriculture sectors cannot be able to offer the higher salaries as well as the better working conditions are critical problems that need to be handled. Okay, next we go to the third issue, which is the agricultural dilemma and the price war. So it occurs, the agricultural dilemma occurs where two or more seemingly undesirable choices have to be selected, which on the different level of the social aggregations should be taken into the account from the perspective of the sustainable agriculture dilemmas as mentioned by Cortes 2001. So the price war are defined as recurring the price decline below competitors as company compete to offer the lowest price in the market as mentioned by Hassan 2014. So this issue can be seen through the rubber cultivations in Malaysia. As we know, Malaysia is among the countries that produce rubber yields, but since the end, there have been several issues related to the price war and dilemmas that are involved with the rubber products in the country. Consequently, it does not allow the Malaysia to compete with the rubber production of the Thailand, Indonesia, Vietnam, and the Cambodia due to the constraint of the new rubber cultivation area. Thus, Malaysia is only able to maintain its position as the sixth largest exporter of the natural rubber in the world. Agriculture workers ought to examine what farming is all about in the society, favoring, inhibiting, or limiting the agriculture. We should aim to the cultivate and improve advantages and non-change elements of the agriculture to avoid the dilemma issue.
For the last points in implications is about the lack of research and development, or we call as R&D. The weaknesses in terms of R&D has an impact in the developing on agriculture sector. The budget, for example, the budget that constraints in allocated to the MARDI, RISDA, FERDA is an example of weakness. This is because the government needs to allocate a certain amount of money in carrying out the R&D process. This is due to the focusing on other sectors, or the government does not focus on the agriculture sector as a contributor to the country's economic growth. Due to the lack of budget that allocated by the government, it leads to the lack of production from the agriculture sector. Like the current times, I think the whole world, like I said just now for the third point, the whole world that facing the crisis of pandemic COVID-19, this also leads to the lack of the budget allocated to the agriculture sector. For example, for 2007, RISDA has a total allocations about 561 million. Total expenses in development management is as much as 192 million, or about the 34%. For operating expenses, a total of 70 million or 42%, while from the development allocation is 16%, a total of 345 million. 345 million. Based on these expenses, the performance shown is not very encouraging. Such a parties needs to play their respective roles to work harder to ensure the allocation which have been approved spent as best as possible, so the projects plan can be implemented in the right way.
So for the first implication is that natural problem negatively impact the agricultural productivity. Climate change poses challenges for all sectors of an economy, particularly those dependent on natural resources such as agriculture. Agriculture is primarily dependent on climate. This is because the climate change and agricultural practice in Malaysia are generally seen to have been connected one with other. However, potential changes in climate may reduce productivity and output in agricultural industry. Climate change also is very likely to affect food security at the global. Climate change can also disrupt food availability, reduce access to food, and affect food quality such as projected temperature rises, changes in rainfall patterns, changes in extreme weather events, and reduced water availability can all result in reduced agriculture productivity. For example, rice production in Malaysia. This happened when the serious shortage of water to sustain rice growth and production in the Muda Agricultural Development Authority (MADA) area of Kedah, Perlis. It will become the serious issues as it may threaten our food security. The rice plants turn brown due to insufficient water to support their growth. Water in dams at the upper reaches of river is almost dry due to the lack of rainfall. Rice production can also be linked to the farmers' revenue, which are influenced by price support and the market price of rice. Consequently, farmers' gross income was estimated from their revenue and production costs. Hence, the consequence of climate change could even affect farmers' incomes and rice market price, as well as lead to declining agriculture productivity. Second implication is that shortage of domestic agriculture labor. Labor is one of the most important components out of 4 factors of agriculture productions. One of the most debated issues facing the Malaysian agriculture is the shortage of domestic labor. Labor shortage occur when the employers struggle to fill labor vacancy because of insufficient labor applying for the jobs. A labor shortage can be caused by a turn in economic condition where there is a shortage of skilled workers for a given industry or overall job markets. Shortage can also be caused by a mismatch in skills, poor compensations, geographic location, or ineffective recruitment by employers. For example, labor shortage in Cameron Highlands. It happens due to the labor shortage threaten the agriculture sector in Cameron Highlands, which can lead to several financial losses for farmers and rising vegetable prices. The agriculture sector is in a critical state due to the shortage of workers, forcing several farms and plantations to reduce their output as they have unable to operate fully. According to the Wong Sing Yi, representative of Cameron Highlands Agriculture Cooperative Associations, stated that the shortage was about 50%, with at least a quarter of farmlands laying fallow. Besides, farmers depend on foreign workers because local demanded higher wages, which farmers were unwilling to pay. For unqualified foreign workers, a monthly salary between 1,000 to 1,100 ringgit is provided to work on the farm, whereas locals gain up to 3,000 ringgit. Therefore, the extent to which labour supply uncertainties and the implication of the minimum wages policy will have an impact on Malaysia's agricultural development and performance.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Mohamed RIDZUAN bin ROSLI. I will explain about the third point for implications, which is the point is about the agriculture price instability. The price stability can be defined as a stable price in an economy, which can be used for inflations or deflations in the long run and the value over time. However, in the price stability in economy, there is also have a instability price. The causes of instability price of agricultural market price is consists of various reasons. I take an examples regarding to the seasonal factor, such as we know that Malaysia every time in the end of the year there is a rainy season. Due to this, most of the rubber taper are unable to produce the raw rubber products. Indirectly, it causes the production of rubber products to decrease due to the rainy seasons. Other than that, the bigger reason is the political crisis also causes the agriculture price instability. As example, this is due to the crisis of national debt, economic slowdown China, and the unrest politics in the Middle East and Thailand. According to the reports from IRSG, the total stocks global natural rubber is turned on level of 2.09 million tons on September 2013, namely on increase of 13.5%, 1.84 million tons for some period in 2012. In addition, the demand for palm oil has also been decreased since the end. It indirectly makes the price go down due to the outbreak crisis of COVID-19. It is the cause of this happening. The weakness in demand is indeed due to the health crisis involved, which have affected the entire supply chain. Other than that, most of workers had to be laid off in order to reduce the budget for wage. This indirectly affects to the decrease in palm oil production because they don't know when to do the works. Demand for palm oil globally is expected to contract by 4% or 3.2 million tons this year following the impact of COVID-19 pandemic. Global statistics in 2019 show the demand for commodity reached 71.48 million tons, followed by soybean oil 55.46 million tons, mustard seeds oil 27.62 million tons, and sunflower seeds oil 19.33 million tons. In the conclusions, the price instability in the agricultural sector consists of several factors that affect the problems or affect our economy. After taking into account from all angles, the various parties involved take proactive steps in ensuring that the price for agricultural sectors are always stable in ensuring the country economy in a good conditions. I think that's all from me. Thank you.
The implication toward the quality of the product in agriculture. Research and development activity in agriculture sector has played a central role in advancement of the country itself. This is because the high quality of production can be achieved through the growth of R&D activity, which are striving to have a country that the ability to compete with other leading countries in terms of high quality. The need of customer and satisfaction of the customer must be met and exceed in order to achieve better revenue of the product to be purchased. The one implication of lack in R&D activity can be seen in our country as we continue use agrochemical in agriculture, such as chemical fertilizer and pesticide, to regulate and maintain our crop output, which lead to inefficient management practice in agriculture sector. The agrochemical is used in agriculture to manage insect, weed, and prevent disease, as well as promote plant growth. Pesticide as an agrochemical material will have ramification for many illnesses such as respiratory disorder, memory, skin problem, depression, birth defect, cancer, and neurology conditions such as Parkinson's disease. This can be seen by the lack of research and development on cloning and hybrid seed in our country in order to increase the quality of the seed and save a little time without wasting precious time waiting for the seed to germinate. As we know, the Malaysian seed take a lot of time to germinate, and it will wasting the farmer time, then decrease their income because to want to wait the seed to germinate and grow and to get the fruit. which in the Thailand, in terms of quality of the durian, that is odorless when it be exporting to the another country for several days and emerge soft scent which will exceed the durian lover. And it can have a negative impact and quality of the production management practice in the agriculture sector as an appropriate and efficient tools and technique will be put to place to advance the work process itself.
Hi, Assalamualaikum. My name is AMIRAH and I will be presenting for the recommendation, which is firstly is to adopting climate smart agricultural system. So this system is basically the approach that can reduce the problem of climate change that happen in Malaysia. An alternative to adapt and mitigate agricultural sector to increase food security in Malaysia to overcome the climate change condition. So for example of these system methods such as changing to new crop, create new seed breeds, develop irrigation system and many more. For example, in irrigation practices. So these practices can be used during droughts to keep soil moisture and help plants to grow efficiently. Other way is to use technology because technology can help to speed up the process of agriculture. For example, such as the uses of drones. Drones can help to observe the condition of soil and plant, whether the soil condition is okay or not. So other than that, it is also crucial for the farmers to gain knowledge regarding the climate change. So the sharing of information by professional and expert people about the climate change can help farmers to know more about the climate change and to conduct effectively, such as on when and how to prepare plantation, on how to preserve water accessibility, and to also develop new hybrid of seeds that can immune to climate changes. So in conclusion, climate smart agriculture can helps the farmers to produce more of the plants such as rices or palm oil, and this will help to increase production at the same time and at the same time can increase the food security in Malaysia. So the second recommendation is to promote youth employment to resolve lack of workers in agricultural sector. So a youth in my recommendation, our recommendation is youth should be able to participate in this sector because in future they will also become the person who take over all of the agricultural sector. So it is important for them to know more about agriculture. So the accessibility of knowledge regarding agriculture can be received by education sector, such as in higher education, training program, technical colleges and many more. The advantages of this accessibility learning is to promote knowledge regarding agricultural research and growth to the youth. For example, such as UPM, where this university has provided agricultural studies for their students to perceive. This will help to promote youth engagement and to fulfill employment. Furthermore, participation of young people are also important to make decision making, and this enable the rights of voices to point out their suggestion about this sector. So government can support their rights. Other than that, we cannot only rely on foreign workers. It is time to change by giving youth to participate after they graduate, because the knowledge and skill that they have are much more relevant than taking non-skilled foreign workers who have no skill and just do what they know. So in conclusion, the youth participation can help to reduce the problem of lack of workers in this sector.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Puteri NURNABILLA. I'm going to explain about the third solution or recommendation proposed in this project. Okay. The third one is government intervention through the price instability initiative, meaning to say that we are involving the government in order to stabilize the price. Okay, the first aspect we can see in the palm oil sector, where the government have taken several short and long run strategic initiative in order to protect all palm growers, retain strong and stable palm oil prices. The first one we can see from the scheme replanting incentive, namely SITS, scheme initiative tanam semula in 2008, and assistance replanting scheme in order to reduce palm oil stocks. Okay, so SITS is basically about the palm tree replanting program for 25 years old and over, or already unproductive palm tree. Okay, so we replant back this in order for us to reduce the palm oil stock. And at the same time, we also government also introduced a 5% reduction in fertilizer import duty on the 7 fertilizer farm to help this local fertilizer producer prices by at least 5%. Okay, so in the long run, the government has and will enforce the bio use of palm-based fuels and raise total oil export quota of palm oil to 3 million tons of 2.5 million tons a year earlier. Okay, which before this. So this is an initiative provided by government in order to promote increased export of downstream palm oil products through more vigorous promotions. Second one is that, of course, the intervention in rubber, because world rubber prices are now at a low level, okay, causing income to be impacted in some of the world's major natural rubber producing countries. So our government, okay, through the Ministry of Plantation Industries and Commodities, the government of Malaysia is therefore enhancing cooperation with the major rubber producer, namely Thailand, Indonesia. So under the International Tripartite Rubber Council, ITRC, this ITRC is the aim of ensuring the reasonable price for the smallholders. Okay, so ITRC is about conduct joint effort between these three countries in order to balance the supply and demand for natural rubber through Supply Management Scheme (SMS) and also the Agreed Export Tonnage Scheme (AETS). Okay. SMS is a long-term method of offsetting natural rubber production on the global market by replanting. So each country has provided new crop quotas to ensure that a balanced supply on request. AETS is a short-term method of reducing rubber native supply in the global markets by export restriction. Mean to say that every member of the state would be limited export quantity when the world market price of natural rubber declines to unfavorable levels for natural rubber manufacture. So this indicate that the government was concerned about the falling of rubber prices and proposed many interventions for smallholders farmers to resolve the current rubber falling price, as well as ensuring for that smallholder in this country guaranteed welfare. Last but not least, the last recommendation is government must play an important role in promoting agriculture research and development, because lack of research and development can make our country fall behind in terms of our agriculture sector with the other competitors, okay, and at the same time limit our attempt to become a developed nation, okay, and the government must therefore play an important role in fostering agriculture sector, because one of the approaches that government can do is by funding this R&D activity in a government spend allocation, okay. Government must allocate some money specifically for R&D activities, because the private sector is not stable enough or have a adequate amount of money to conduct research, because we know that R&D is not require a small amount of money. We need government intervention in order for us to run this R&D to be undertaken in the college, universities, non-profit research agency, often by the private company and so on. This private sector also needs some aid, okay, some fund to conduct these R&D activities, okay. As we can see that the developed nations such as South Korea, okay, they spend 5% of its GDP on R&D. Okay, specifically on R&D, and following by Germany, Japan, which both invested 3% of its GDP in R&D, and then Singapore, China, France, and the US was more than 2% of their respective GDP in 2019. Contrary to Malaysia, we only spend around 1.4% only of our GDP in this R&D activity in 2016, and from below 0.7% in 2006, but the since declined to slightly below 1% in 2019. Mean to say that in our country we are declining of funds in terms of the R&D activities, which is not good. So government must play an important role in funding this R&D activity in our country. But from that is cooperative research. Cooperative research means to say that we are not focusing on one organization only. We are having a cooperation with the farmers, with the private company, with the university or college. Okay, for example, in the US, US Department of Agriculture have been used Agriculture Food Research Initiative in order to support the project that can solve the critical issue on that time, which food safety to childhood obesity. So from farmers, from the other research and so on, they collaborate in order to produce or to fulfill or to manage this kind of childhood obesity problem.
So we will continue for the justification. For the justification, firstly is about climate change. Climate change, we will see the predicted outcome for the implementation of climate smart agriculture. There are many countries that successfully implement this system or methods to their agricultural practices. The first country is Cambodia. From the outcome of this agriculture that they have made has get returns triple times, where the rice production increases about 40%. The practices that they make is seed varieties which can immune to climate change of droughts and floods that they overcome. The seed innovation has successfully made their countries to resolve the problem of climate change while increasing production of rice. Other country that we can see is Tanzania and Kenya. They're practicing climate smart agriculture, where they're involved in receiving training program and consultation regarding the adaptation and from the expert people who know more about the climate changes. The outcome from this practice is it helps farmers where about 46% of women has involved produce. Other than that, produce a stock of seeds, more than 33,500 seeds has been made, 235 terraces of conservation and soil and water. Last but not least is the country of Netherlands. Netherlands has made agricultural goods, and it has been exported about 94.5 billion euros, which is equivalent to our ringgit Malaysia, which is 456.7 billion ringgit, which is Netherlands has become the largest country in Europe that has export food production to the other country. So second justification of youth participation can be seen from the execution of training program. For example, in Malaysia, we have Malaysia Palm Oil Board that execute training program for youth that offer skill information in oil palm farming to produce skilled and professional youth. The purpose of this program is also to reduce the dependency to foreign agriculture for workers, because as we know, Malaysia has employed over 300,000 foreigners for just palm oil sector, and this number is a lot. So therefore, we want to change this employment by recruiting youth people, which is much more relevant, and this is because youth who earn more knowledge and skill about agricultural and machinery to handle of harvesting and transportation can help to improve efficiency rather than we take foreign workers who have no skills and knowledge. So the outcome from this program is that MPOB has recruited about 3,000 students and have completed their trainings in places of Keratong and Lahad Datu, whereas 70% of numbers has successfully ventured into careers of plantation sectors. So in conclusion, this training program has helped encourage youth to join training activity and continue to agricultural sector while reducing the dependency of the foreign workers to work in this sector, because the youth can help more about this agricultural sector because of their having a more knowledge and skill rather than foreign workers. Thank you.
Justification for the government intervention in stabilizing price in agriculture sector, we can see that it is important. For example, as indication that government intervention can help to resolve price instability, we can see from the grain prices by the effectiveness and sustainability of food price subsidy in China, where since the 1980s, China's agriculture had continued to prosper. So as China grain market is opening, the relationship between China's grain market and the world grain market has become more valuable. So as a result, Chinese domestic grain prices fluctuate. So it has a strong effect on the global economy. So the stability of domestic grain market was not only the Chinese government responsibility but represent the international concern. So after that, China has adopted numerous grain pricing policies to control this grain market prices since the early 1980s. So by this systematic shift in the grain market when policy for price were established in practice, so in the aftermath of the Chinese drought, the grain prices follow a much lower volatile trend. Meaning to say that the government intervention is very important in order to stabilize the price. So this is why in Malaysia also we must government must responsible to intervene in this kind of price instability initiative. This is the rationale of government intervention. Okay, this is because government intervention in stabilizing agricultural prices is to respond to farmers' internal pressure. We know that this crop yields production is not stabilized. Okay, it might be fluctuate, it might be increase. It is unpredictable according to various problems. So in order to recover this kind of thing, government intervention is very important. Government must help these farmers in order to relieve their struggle to manage farm businesses, these agricultural businesses. So this is why we need the government intervention in order for us to have a better revenue in this agricultural sector. Okay, the last justification is on the R&D activities. What is the significance of the government to funding these R&D activities? Okay, the first one, we can see that when the government invests in the R&D activities, the agricultural sector will impact agribusiness productivity on the farm. Okay, this can be seen through the Green Revolution in Asia, where it is a clear evidence that agricultural technology change can benefit the farmers in their agricultural business. Okay, but there are some argument on this thing because there are some scholars, some researchers say that this Green Asia revolution only can benefit to the farmers who can afford to buy such technology, okay? Who have a large capital investment, who have a good access to the technology and so on. So it's about bias to the farmers who doesn't have a lot of capital. However, in some studies, it is reported that this Green Asia Revolution also simultaneously help the poor farmers by benefit them in terms of increase the production, increase the employment opportunities. We can attract a new farmers, okay? Whoever have a large capital, they can attract a new farmers so that the higher wages in the agricultural sector and non-farm sectors also can be increased by degrade as revolution in ASEAN. I mean to say that when we are conducting the R&D activities, we are not only benefit to such business only, but we are benefit at large in terms of socio-economic development. Other than that, the investment in the R&D activities important for the national economy when the advancement in this sector positively impact both agriculture and industry. Okay, this can be seen as an evidence. We can see the significance of this general equilibrium effect in developing country can be confirmed by empirical studies where in India, okay, the fact that non-farm share of national employment remained constant for over a century before the full force of Green Revolution began in 1970s provides strong evidence that agricultural growth remains a dominant driver of the Indian economy. And some study found out that 1% in the agriculture growth rate has been found to stimulate 0.5% increase in the industrial output, 0.7% increase in the national income. So this study shows that the investment in the agricultural R&D can provide significant contribution to the country's overall economic growth. Okay, whenever we increase the agriculture sector, we also can increase the revenue of other sector. So as a result, it can increase our national economy and socio-economic development. So that is all from me. Thank you.
Okay. In the conclusion, agriculture is an aspect of intelligent growth that required the attention of all persons to resolve all the issue or challenge that exist in this sector. The government must recognize that Malaysian agriculture and the rural socio-environmental resource are a symbiotic relationship with direct consequences for agriculture sustainability and vitality of rural areas. These areas must not be left behind in their development in order to ensure that the productivity and efficiency of the agriculture sector in our country can be attained. The government must ensure that all funding allocation in improving this sector through many programs, for example, development of rural area funds, research and development R&D program, pay and benefit for farmers are well handled by the relevant organization with complete transparency and integrity in managing it. The agriculture itself, it will encourage more investors to invest in our country, as well as improve the standard of living of the people that is a farmer itself through various government benefit and support. Focus to this sector is therefore essential for our country's sustainable development. So, from that we know that the agriculture sector is also important and give the revenue to our economy or the Malaysian economy itself. Thank you.